Hello, welcome to Cosplay Confessional. We're here to explore the who's, how's, and whys of cosplayers and the hobby that they love. I'm your host, Kisasa Cosplay, a cosplayer with 6 years of experience.
And I'm Dave. I'm a cosplay enthusiast who's never done a cosplay, so 0 years for me. Hi everyone, welcome to an episode of Cosplay Confessional. We are back and we are here today with a new guest.
We're going to be interviewing today and I'm very excited to actually be part of the interview today. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm going to be following, I'm going to be channeling Dave today with my question asking, but I'm just really excited to go on it and do our first duo interview.
That's right. So without further ado, I'll introduce a fantastic cosplayer. We have the Scandalorian. Welcome to the Cosplay Confessional.
Oh, did I say that too soon then?
Hey, no, go for it.
How's it going?
So we've got you here because what we have noticed over time is that we meet cosplayers who, every once in a while there'll be someone who has something we go, all right, that's a cool thing. You have some pretty impressive builds, but before we get into those, let's go back to the beginning and let's talk about what got you into cosplay.
Absolutely. So when I was 14, I attended my first event, which was MCM Manchester, which is 2014. And I was standing there in the queue, and there was these girls there who were dressed up as, like, I think it was Disney princesses that long ago. I can't remember now. But basically, they were telling me about cosplay, and I was like, oh, why are you dressed up like that? And they were like, it's fun. And they said, if you ever go to an event, go to it. You'll get in costume. Like, if you get in costume, you'll have a lot more fun. And basically, after that, it stayed at the back of my mind until I finished high school, when I did my first costume, which was Starkiller from Force Unleashed. And I debuted that at Liverpool Comic Con. I think that was 2016, before I had to swap over to Monopoly when MCM was still in there. But yeah, I had fun. I had a bit of a laugh going around, and it was weird how many people I met then at that Comic Con that I'm really good friends with now, when I was very, very self-conscious and like I didn't know anybody. It was the first time. It was pretty daunting, but the welcome in that community started to be going, oh, this is perfect. It's like, I really enjoy this. And I continued sorting costumes out until I decided, you know what, I'm going to try and enter in the competition. And the first big costume I ever did, that before that I was doing like different variations of Starkiller with different little bits. And I did a lesson from The Witcher. And that was a big
seen that.
costume.
It's amazing, yeah.
Honestly, it was really fun, but I had no prior training. On the day, it was literally a wing it. Let's get the stilts on.
God.
Let's put the phone
I was
on.
I wanted to ask you about this, to be fair, the practicalities of it, because I've I'm not going to lie, I've Instagram stalked you. And I was going to say, I can't even imagine trying to navigate a con on stilts. Like, how do you do it?
And so the best way I can describe it is when you do walk on it, people always think, say this is your foot, it's your ankle that you're walking on. Yeah. It's not. Your ankle's in one place and there's a support up by your knee. So when you're walking, you're hitting the floor and basically leaning forward into the next step and the next step.
Okay.
And it's like you've got to have your balance and all that, but you're basically leaning forwards with every like step. Just making sure that you're not going to lean too far and fall over. Just make sure your foot's there to save you.
Has it happened? Have you fallen over?
I was going to say, have you ever?
So, going back to the lesson story, I've fallen over twice. Oof. One when I was quite recently.
Going.
Yeah, for the years I'm doing it, it's not that bad. The first time I did it, I was walking past Doug Cockle, who played Geralt of Rivia. Oh. So I was in my lesson costume, and basically I took a few steps, and it must have been like a sort of, you know, the wires they put across the ground, and then they've got the little supports on top. So basically I went over that and I started falling, and my mum's caught me. I go, Mum, you're dragging me down. So I didn't fall fully, but she had to just push me all the way back up onto my legs. So
what a hero, bless her.
Yeah. And the second time, it was raining, pitch black and dark. Somebody decided to put these like picnic tables on a walkway where I was going past, and I clipped it, and that was the first time I fell down fully. Luckily, never got injured, but
How was the costume? Did the costume survive?
Oh, the costume survived, yeah. Surprisingly enough.
Important.
All it was rags in my pumpkin head. There wasn't anything special, but I was more concerned about the pumpkin.
Priorities.
Because that's not the only costume you've got on stilts, is it? You've got. I mean, I was going through, and you've got a few that are quite tall.
See, this is me thinking face, because I have to think how many I've got now that I was stilts. So the easiest way to put it, I've got Pimp the Pumpkin, I've got Khonshu, I've got. No, it's just Pimp the Pumpkin and Khonshu right now.
Do you not do like a Wookiee?
Oh yes, the Wookiee Jakaro. Yeah, that's the third one.
My stalking was thorough.
You know what? It's paid off. It's really paid off. But yeah, Jakaro and all that. But the fun fact about the Jakaro costume is it's a ruby suit. So I bought it off Facebook Marketplace, and we went to Abercrombie Fabrics and basically got carpet, like a really fluffy carpet, split it in two, added extensions. From the spare fur that we took off another mask, I was able to basically interweave it and make it look like it's got more, definition to the legs instead of it being like Wookiee hair carpet.
Yeah. But I mean, it looks amazing, so I'm impressed if that's carpet, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. It's honestly, some of the costumes done, it's really fun, but I found the issue of storing it now. I've got to be so careful and when I'm taking it. Oh my god, I bet. Yeah.
Where do you even put them? Because we were talking a few weeks ago, and mine are like in little boxes in my garage, but I don't imagine you can do that, the size of some of yours.
So looking around my room right now, I've got a proton pack on the floor. I've got basically all my costumes are scattered around the house, but the main storage is the conservatory. Me power armor from Fallout, that's in my grandma's right now.
Oh boy.
So
I'm just imagining this grandma just putting on the power armor and just being like, yeah, I'm a badass. Just walking around her house.
Yeah. Oh no. I have my girlfriend's nan put on Khonshu's head because when I was going to Comic-Con, I stayed over, and it just looked like Nana Khonshu.
Nice. The Khonshu one is very. I mean, they're all very impressive. As someone who does not cosplay and couldn't craft a thing, seeing costumes like that, I'm like, okay, I don't even know where to start. But the Khonshu one is significant, right? Like that's a big one. Am I right thinking you've won awards with that one?
Yeah, I entered into Liverpool Comic Con's competition for quite a few years. So from like when I started all the way through. So I entered me Starkiller, me Leshen, and then I think I skipped a few years because I quit for a little while. And I entered Kiryu when I was in college, which was 2 years back, which was a big blue one, big wings and a massive hammer, which is behind there. And then Khonshu, which is like years and years on, like every competition I'd make something to go. And it became a bit of a yearly tradition to make something new and challenge myself. And I honestly wasn't expecting it, but with the fact that I'd finished it 2 weeks after Moon Knight finished,
wow,
yeah, they were very impressed with it.
That is quick. That's quick work.
Yeah, like the whole process of it was getting the pictures from the show, screenshotting it and drawing little template lines over it, printing the templates off, and then just eyeballing how the bird skull comes together and everything. But it was 2 weeks like after Moon Knight had finished, but the production of it mainly was about 3 months, but that's scattered in between like having to go to college or taking a break and stuff like that. Because contrary to popular belief, I am not a machine.
What I like though, as someone who I mean, we've spoken about this at length about the fact that I can't sew buttons. So the idea of building a costume, whenever I meet someone who does build and can do that, it always feels like it sounds effortless. Like I know it's not. I know logically it's not. And it's a lot of work, right? But it always sounds like, hey, check this thing out. I did this thing, and bam, here's this amazing costume. And to my brain, which doesn't have any idea of what actually goes into the creation, I'm just like, right. So you think of the costume, and then you wake up, and a thing has built. How does that happen? So That's always what I find really, really interesting to hear when people say, like, oh yeah, it took me just this much time from start to finish. I'm thinking, how? Nuts.
So I'll let you in a little bit of a crafter secret. We want to like say, oh, it's day one, it's happening, just to make sure you decide to have a little go over yourself and go, oh yeah, I could do this in one day. I'm gonna be, we're baiting people, but honestly, the amount of nights I have spent head in my hands on Cosplay Crunch is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Completely freaking out, like, oh, it's not going to be done in time, or like the week before, I've got to do this, and it's like, nah. Like Star Wars Celebration was the worst for it. The Wookiee was made literally the day that I would like the first costume try on was the day before I left for going down to London.
Wow.
But honestly, as you say, it's not effortless at all. Like the amount of time and effort it takes to make some of these, some people's capabilities may be like, oh, I can do it in a day or something like that, depending on the prop. Myself, I've got disability, I've got dyslexia and dyspraxia, and my coordination, my hand's pretty rough. So I'm lucky that I've been able to do this. But everybody's a bit different. Like I've got mates who will knock off like a prop within 2 hours or a day, and other people are just like 3D printing's amazing. Go to sleep, hope it's not spaghetti in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's tons of ways that you could make a costume and make props for that costume as well.
Awesome.
So would you say that, like you said, that it was like 3 months then for the khonshu one? Is that kind of like your average, would you say, for how long it takes you to make an outfit, or?
It's dependent. Throughout that was a lot of college, so I have a thing where I'll start something and then I'll drop it for a while and then I'll make something again, and I have to see something that really proper gets it in my brain to actually start crafting again. So to make a costume like khonshu would take me 3 months. For the Fallout power armor, I was lucky. I got basically the chest piece that goes over in the helmet was painted, but it was a bad paint and was in bits, so I had to repair it. And then all it was the armor, so it only took me a month or two just to get that done.
Mm-hmm.
But it depends. Every day life and everything in between going to events.
Yeah.
So it can be knocked out within a month or a week or whatever. It just depends what effort I've got and my mindset to do it.
Can I ask that power armor? Because I'm a big Fallout fan. So when I saw that you built that, I was like, I need to know more about this. What is that made from? What's the material you used to build that?
It's EVA foam. So
Really?
basically, the chest piece is made from the foam with the bits in the back. Jigsaw foam's the best to describe it because
it's like
rivets on the
floor
back.
matting kind of.
Yeah, like floor mat. That's it. Yeah. So the chest piece is made from that with different cuts and rivets in it. The arms and the legs, I think I used a bit of that, and I use a company called Tigris who sell different grades of EVA foam. So it's the majority of it's a mixture between fine cut foam from the company and getting stuff from Halfords. But the legs, the feet, I've done it recently on my Badmore costume. Basically, it's rivets from the jigsaw piece because you rip it off and there's like little jigsaw cutouts. That's all on the bottom, just as tracks.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, okay.
It's so smart.
I can never use those bits for
That's
anything.
it.
So I'm like, fair play.
Yeah, instead of throwing it out, just use it on, like, you could make a chainsaw out of it. You could make, like, just boots. It's absolutely perfect.
Wow.
I'm really stingy when throwing away foam, so I always make a use of something.
I've got a few of those squares in my living room. My kids use them to play Lego on.
Absolutely.
So I'm thinking,
yeah, come on, Dave. First cosplay, armor build.
Oh yeah, can you imagine that?
There you go.
My first cosplay is a full set of power armor. I'll tell you about. You took 3 months for khonshu. So if you give me, I don't know, 3 to 4 years, maybe I'll give it a go. That's being generous to myself because.
Oh yeah, no, the Fallout armor is like absolutely awesome. I was meant to be going to an event on Saturday and that, but I'm unfortunately not able to get there now. So it's just going to sit in the storage for a little while longer before I decide to get it out again.
You have to get it back from your grand first.
Oh yeah,
she won't want to give it back.
I'm not getting it back now.
Once she's in it. Yeah. So you mentioned taking a break from cosplay, and then coming back into it. So what? You mentioned everyday life. Life gets in the way of everything. But like, what brought you back into it?
So if I can remember correctly, I joined a group called Imperial Order 66, which had been in for a while. I think you met them briefly at the Comic Con that you were at. So I think the fact that I've known friends in there, and I decided, you know what, I met up with them as I did khonshu and got speaking to Steve who owns it, and Eggsy who runs it with him as well. And I just decided, you know what, I'll get back on the saddle a little bit here and start, getting back into myself, because I went through a bit of a period where I was like, I can't be bothered anymore. And like doing that, getting back into costumes, probably been the best thing I've done, because it helped me through college. It's helped me out with my mental health and everything. So I'm really glad compared to where I've been within the past, 6-7 years to where I am now. It's like, I look back at the pictures and I'm like, nah, that's not me.
Yeah.
But we all start somewhere, and we all need a little bit of a break every once in a while.
Yeah.
And I think that was something that I really needed for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can show you something new though.
Always want to see something new.
Do you want to see something new? I've already been posting it on the Instagram, but I got
an
this
exclusive.
a little bit of an exclusive for you. In fact, I'll reveal it fully. I'm actually doing a Predator suit.
Nice.
Amazing.
A mate of mine who runs Mos Eisley, he's actually selling me a Predator suit.
Okay.
So it's at the moment I'm getting different gauntlets. So this is 3D printed.
Oh wow!
From a guy in St. Helens. Just saw it on Facebook Marketplace. This is another thing. Facebook Marketplace, absolutely incredible for getting stuff. But it's 3D printed, and I've got to heat bend it out a little bit because when I got the costume on, it won't fit. But I'm absolutely loving the fact it's just Predator. I've been wanting to do it for years. This is the only part of the costume I've got right now until the 17th. But yeah, 3D prints, perfect.
That is amazing.
So is that like if there was a dream cosplay, like, is this it and you've fulfilled it now? Or is there another one out there where you're like, this is the one that I want to do?
This is one of the dream costumes. In my head, there's about 50 million costumes that I want to do. I can name the top 5 right now that I will get. It's a goal, more of a dream. Megatron, Predator,
Nice.
which I'm getting done now. What is it? Megatron, Davy Jones, a Mind Flyer from D&D.
Nice.
I'd love to own a T-Rex costume one day. Really would like to own a T-Rex costume one day.
What do you mean, like an inflatable T-Rex or what?
No, they cost dozens, and they're basically what you see in like Jurassic Park shows and all that. And you
like
get in it, and it's all over the top of you. Yeah, I'd love one of them one day. But Megatron's one of the ones on the cards for next year, and
Nice.
Alien Xenomorph as well.
Oh, cool.
That would be very cool.
Yeah,
another one for stilts.
And Alien and Predator, then you'd have covered both bases. So
Well, that's it. Yeah, but the only thing is, I'd have to get someone to wear me Predator suit.
Yeah, because you need to. Yeah, you can't be both at once, unfortunately.
So, David, you can get in it if you want.
Imagine that. Hey, did you make that?
Cosplay?
Nope. Just borrowing it for the day, just trying it out.
I don't know. I just found it on the floor somewhere. Decided, you know what? I'll put that on.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. Like the idea of the sort of daunting cosplays. I think people see people who have got really elaborate, really detailed and really thought out cosplays, and people kind of go, "Oh, well, if that's cosplay, then maybe it's not for me." But I guess it's making it clear that cosplay is what you make it to be, and if you're someone who wants to build something, then you build something, and if you're someone who wants to, you mentioned a number of like closet cosplays, the ones that you can build from things that you've already got and ways that you can sort of new iterations of characters and stuff. And knowing that there's that kind of spectrum of cosplay from I've put on this particular t-shirt and it's a comfy version of this character, or I have built this full xenomorph costume complete with fiberglass head. So it's knowing that there's that level of difference, I think, is what's quite cool, and what I hope people understand, so that they don't say it's too complicated, because it doesn't have to be. Like, I don't do it partly because I'm lazy as much as anything else. Like, I could do some easy cosplays at some point. I'm sure I could. I just haven't. So that's my blocker is laziness.
Yeah, no, I have massive disorder with that. Like, I'd sit and do nothing all day, honestly. It's bad. I've got a costume to finish for the 22nd, I think it is. I've got Sweet Tooth the Clown to do,
Wow.
which is going to October, which is a small costume, like, but the Badmore one, which you've just done, was a bit of a, okay, I'll get this done. I'll just sort this. But going back to what you're saying with the buying costumes, I've just got my girlfriend into cosplay. She's been corrupted now.
Nice. Amazing.
But she's bought really, really good costumes for, well, they're cheap, but they're cheaper compared to what other stuff is. Like, she's got herself a Wanda from Amazon, got a Jester from Amazon. I think she's got a Raven as well, which is really good as well.
Cool.
So she's starting to, look at different costumes, and she doesn't seem that bothered, like, that she's bought her costumes, and I don't think anybody should neither. Cosplay is cosplay, because it's literally an escape and being somebody else for a day or two. And I think that's the most important part. Forget anybody that's saying, oh, go crafty, like, you got to craft costumes and all that. If you want to make something, if you feel like you got that creative spark, if you want to learn something different, then go for it. Absolutely. Like, there's tons and tons of, photos, videos on YouTube, massive books as well that you can get online that'll teach you everything you need to know. And if you need to know something, just go up to somebody. If they seem friendly enough and they've made a costume, go ask them about it. And if you can learn something a bit different from that, which I have in the past, it's perfect. I buy costumes all the time, as I said. The Predator, which I'm about to buy, but I bought a Gears of War costume, which is the big chest piece, which was made by Anthony Lennon, and I didn't know this at the time, but I've looked at the intricate details, and I've learned how to deconstruct that to how to improve my own work and everything.
That's really
so
cool.
I always keep an eye out for, like, see it as a little bit of an investment that, I can learn out of this while also looking cool in this.
Yeah, like you can help that to teach you a new skill. That's cool. Because I was going to ask this, actually. Obviously, like, you do your big armor builds and, like, a lot of foam work and stuff. How did you start with that? Like, how did you learn it? Like, I've nothing like yours, but I've have a armor build. I did Honey from Big Hero 6. So it's like a chest plate and a helmet, and I
did Instagram stalk you a little bit as well. I was going to say this at the beginning. Your costumes are amazing.
Thank you. Also, very random. Did you know we've actually met before?
Secret con?
Because after I'd stalked you, then I was like, this khonshu cosplay is really familiar. And Chester Comic Con, I was there, and there's a photo of us together. But yeah, I was like, small world. I was Kaylee.
No way. Dude, Chester Comic Con has been my favourite event to go to for a very long time.
It was my first ever time there. Well, we were all there, actually. So it was like a little pre-podcast, like,
oh yeah, I was there.
That we didn't know was
there. That's when we met. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. You were there. So,
oh man, I wish I was in that photograph. That'd have been so cool.
That would have been really cool, to be fair. But yeah, it's literally it's me, you, and then there was like a Spider-Man cosplay. I'll have to send you the photo.
Yeah. That is just insane. How nuts is that?
I know. That's what I thought. Fully derailed.
So many people, I don't realise I've met them.
Well, to be fair to both of us, like, you probably can barely see. I could not see your face. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. But it was an amazing costume, so clearly that I went up to you because I thought it was super cool. So yeah, that's
I appreciate it.
Small world thing. But anyway, totally derailed. But yes, what I was saying was, how did you start with your armor? Because I was fully YouTube all the way, was my, like, oracle for it.
So I'm going to tell you something different as well while I'm answering this. But,
this is fine.
Because when you were saying about the site there, I'll just get this out the way quickly. The site in khonshu is literally that.
Oh my god!
You can't see. You can only see through the sides. That's the way. As for starting with costumes and armor, my mum is a design technology teacher. Is that how you say it? Yeah. So she actually taught me through high school, and I said to her, Mum, can you show me how to do this? Because she teaches kids how to cut stuff and all that. Yeah. So she taught me how to make armor, and I've learned a lot from that. If there's been something that I've been a bit struggling on, she'll come. I'll say, "Mum, can you come here so I can show me how to do this?" And she'll come and help me, which is I love my mum to death. She's been an absolute inspiration with a lot of things in my life, and she's my mum. I obviously love her, and she's taught me quite a lot. And from that, I've been able to teach her stuff that I've learned as well. That she's been able to go and teach in her schools, which has been it's a blessing in disguise. But that's how I started, and I think I've seen videos online. I'll have to look and see I can't remember my first costumes. All I know is I think my first major armor was Kiryu because the Mandalorian before that was I think it was Vacuum Thorns, which I bought. The Mandalorian was all bought that, but repainted. But yeah, the foam work, it was a bit of a headache learning something new, but taking off of the YouTube videos and making like the boots and the arms and everything, and the wings were an absolute nightmare. Honestly, wings are terrible. Buy them, don't make them yourself.
Noted.
But yeah, no, it's, as I said, the YouTube videos and the different books that I've seen online and different speaking to other creators and everything has really helped me out quite a bit with doing my costumes and stuff like that. It's a whole, as you probably know yourself, it's a whole curve to get around when you're starting to make stuff and seeing what works best for you, what materials work best for you. But at the end of the day, if you've got a way that works, do it your way. If somebody else has got an idea that makes it a whole lot easier, then go for that as well. I mean, with rivets and little details, I was watching Kumai Cosplay the other day. And she was showing different Dremels. So some of the techniques that I already been, implementing and using, but basically it's a specific Dremel tip that makes it look like, beaten up armor. Okay. Whereas in the past, I'd use cotton wool buds, this paint, and gunmetal to basically hammer it in with a paintbrush and make sure it looks like it's being hammered in. But as this, it's just carved into the metal.
Okay.
Wow.
So there's tons of things.
It's a godsend.
Yeah, honestly.
And mums are a godsend. My mum also taught me to sew, so she was my
shout out to the mums.
Yeah.
Shout out to the mums for helping with the cosplay journeys.
That's it. I got the headcanon now. Headcanon is your gran is sitting at home, cup of tea, full power armor, and your mum walks in wearing the power armor that she's built herself too. And then there's a bonding moment there, wearing power armor.
Having grown up with me gran, that would not surprise me one bit. She's got a new little electric scooter, and don't go to B&Q when she's there.
Danger gran. So
Danger gran.
we talk about community a lot. We talk about sort of the other cosplayers, and you mentioned if someone's in a costume, go up and ask them about it. And I think that my experience is I've never had anybody who I've wanted to talk to about their costume say, no, don't ask me, because people put that kind of effort and that kind of love into it, and they kind of want to share that with people and talk about it, right? So what do you think where do you think the kind of importance, building the costumes is one thing, wearing them to a con is another. Where does that community sit for you? How important is that in making the costumes that you do?
For me, it's making the costumes is important for me, and not and maybe to make people smile, but it's more for me as a challenge. However, me turning up to events and doing these things, I'm a social butterfly, as everybody tells me. I talk to everybody and everything about costume, and the community for me is we're all geeks. We've all got our own little likes, our quirks, and everything. And I've met plenty of people through that time where I've just clicked on instantly, or I've seen something that they're wearing. Like, oh, I've seen that show, boss. I've gotten in full conversations, and even the people that come to Comic-Cons and are not a part of the community and they're just there to go see the guests or go see the cosplayers, a lot of the time I see people there that are there just to see the characters out and about. And a lot of the time, I don't think they know that we call ourselves cosplayers or costumers. And yet still, it's their favourite characters, or they've seen it on screen or games and it's in the flesh for them, and they can get a photo. And I think the fact that we can all pretty much get involved, and I'm trying to word it right, basically connect over costume, and even if you cosplay, you don't, you buy your costume, your craft. I think that's really important for me, and for me myself, I'm all about promoting people now, and inspiring people to make costumes and props and doing whatever your creative mind comes out with. I mean, like, literally, one of my biggest inspirations is TV shows and all that, like Mighty Boosh, Northfield, an absolute god of design and madness, and I love that. And I'm really grateful that I've got the skills to actually bring stuff like that into the flesh and be that character for a day. And I think a lot of people do share that same sentiment.
Yep, my sister, who actually did the logo for our show, Humdrum Buzz, Instagram, check her out. She's a huge Mighty Boosh fan. So just slide that in there because she did the logo for our show. So I feel like I should mention her.
Definitely showing my old Greg.
Oh my god, I saw that as well on my Spock.
Okay.
So cool. I was just like, yes, this works. I never see that as a cosplay either, so I was like, fair play.
Me neither. It was such a short minute costume. I got a charity shop jacket, literally £2. I was like, yeah, that'll work. I was meant to get fishnet stockings online. They didn't arrive, so just wear normal fishnets. Literally pink skirt tutu material with a little pouch sewn into it for the LED on the crotch. But no, it was a proper laugh, that one. I'm going to be doing that again soon.
And you mentioned like helping people out and supporting the others who are in that community as well. And I think that you've got an initiative to support cosplayers, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking about Nerdhead?
Yes, I am. Tell me about it.
Ah, great. There we go. So basically, Nerdhead Collective is something that I've just started recently. I'm slowly building it, but it is costume competition helping, showcases of craft, prop displays, photography. I think there's some other stuff as well. Talking cosplay workshops. So teaching people how to make foams and craft costumes, and just having a place where people could come and repair the costumes for the events that we are at. So we're just trying to get ourselves out there, building up slowly but surely, seeing what works, what doesn't. It started because, well, I've got the costumes here and I've got a good support system around me, and I think I was trying to piece together what I could do over the years to actually, make true on what I'm feeling myself and promoting it and actually helping out with Comic Cons. I mean, I've been doing costume judging for years, crafting, all sorts. So I thought, why not bring a few people under my wing who are interested in what they do? And, the likes of Finn, Scouts from Cosplay, he's actually coming on under me. I'm teaching him how to make foam, crafting new costumes and all that. So then my girlfriend, and I've got another guy called David who does amazing 3D prints, and I've also got Northwest 3D Prints and LJ events on board as well. So there's all sorts of people starting to come together because they feel like, this is a good idea. I feel great in myself that it's like this all came together. John, who runs LJ, actually gave me the name, and it's the Nerdhead Official is the actual, no, Nerdhead Collective is the full name because somebody else has got the trademark. So I've got the big one now. But no, he helped me come up with the name. We brainstormed it, and yeah, it's just all coming together. Traveling it, as I said, and just hopefully, if this works the way I really want it to, I really think it's going to have a good little positive impact on the community. And with the friendly members we've got and the other people messaging, just come get involved. I mean, I think we'll have a good little collective together. Hence the collective name.
That sounds amazing. So going forward then, this is you guys would be at cons, you'd have like a table and stuff. Is that like how you're envisaging
Absolutely. So we're the way we're going about it is, at the moment we're going to be asking for, if con organisers want us in, we give the pitch and we say, look, if you can provide us with a table or two, here's the list of what we can bring per table. You just let us know what you want. It's a matter of networking and making sure that I'm speaking to the right people and the right people are seeing it. They're like, oh yeah, this would be good for an event because we don't have repair stations, and a lot of the times there isn't.
No.
I don't know if you've seen at Comic Cons, if you've got a prop broken, you've got to rely on like people who, on the off chance,
yeah. I feel like some of the really big ones, like the MCMs and stuff, fine, but especially the smaller ones, it's not something that they really think about.
No,
I think
mean,
I've seen one cosplay repair station. I think in the events that I've been to, I think that's the only one a few months ago. That's the only one I've ever actually seen where they're offering that kind of support to people. And the number of prop failures and wardrobe malfunctions that I've seen for cosplayers, and only imagining how stressful that can be when you put the kind of effort into the costume and all the work to get to the place where you're showcasing that work, and then to have that kind of problem, and then not having any support around to fix it. Like it's amazing to see that changing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, with props breaking, I've got an actual funny story about this. I think it was Leeds Unleashed. We had a cosplayer dressed as Gandalf and a cosplayer dressed as Saruman. Now, Saruman had, I think it was the Eye of Sauron or something like that. It was the crystal that they used on Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Roast me all you want, I can't remember the names. But basically, it was a ceramic crystal collectibles. And
I can see where this is going.
He's in character the entire time, going, "Oh, Sauron, I failed you," and Gandalf was like, "Oh, we can fix it." So they start trying to get all the pieces all in character, and then I think it was a mate of mine, but he came over in a Doctor Strange outfit and got the Eye of Agamotto out, and was just going, "Oh no, alternate timeline magic, I can't fix it," but. There's tons of events and tons of times where you see costumes break. Khonshu staff, that broke a couple of weeks back. And I had to rely on other cosplayers, luckily. There was repair people there. But it's... When you break a prop, you're like, oh no, where am I going to store this? If you're in full costume, you've got no bags. Say you're like, it's broke over here, your whole storage is in the changes all the way down that arena, and it's too much to carry. And especially... people as well. People could stand on it or try and nick pieces. And just having a place where you can confidently go to, sort yourself out. I mean, rehydrate, just a little break area for cosplayers is just, I think that's, it'll do the world of good with that.
Yeah, I think it sounds amazing. Do you have any ideas of what cons you'd be looking to try and get to, or are you not really that far along yet?
We are a little bit that far along. As I mentioned before, we got friends with Geek Bazaar. Hi James, I'm going to message you about this soon.
Spoilers.
No, Geek Bazaar is absolutely fantastic. So we're going to, they've been helping support us through the whole thing and the inception to getting everything together. We've also got HalloCon, which is on the 29th of October in the I think it's the castle Celebrity was filmed in.
Okay.
So that's run by LJ, who's a great mate of mine. We're actually in there doing the competition. We're not sure if we'll have a table yet, but if not, I'll just put a big massive phone box around me, cosplay repair station, put your prop inside, and I'll repair it in the back. But no, we're also looking at different events as well, like Runcorn Comic Con, and just starting off around Merseyside first. Somewhere close until I've got my van sorted, and then I can start going off to different places and expanding a little bit more.
I think that's something as well, that the number of Comic-Cons now, there are, in a good way, there are a lot now, and there's a lot of smaller, more independent ones. And you've got the big companies, you got your MCMs, you got Unleashed, you got that kind of stuff, and they put on great events. But then you've got those smaller ones where they're a bit more local, a bit more... I don't know. I think you mentioned Chester Comic Con. I think that one was one. It felt very kind of family focused, like a family event where you'd bring people. Whereas I've been to other ones where it's very much like, if you're not into the fandom, if you're not into the cosplay, if you're not into this kind of thing, it's probably not for you. Whereas there's a lot more events now where it really is open for everyone, and that's really exciting to see. And I think that growing something like this at those events is absolutely the right place to be. It's really cool.
Well, no, that's exactly it. I mean, Chester Comic Con, it's a fantastic event. They're unfortunately not going along with it now because I believe one of the organisers got really sick and they can't really do it. So I don't know. I think there was another company looking into it. But Chester Comic Con used to be like the place for me to go for costuming, and it still is. So hopefully it gets revived if they decide to put it on again.
Yeah.
But that last Comic Con, we were dressed up as Predator. As the Marines. So I think I was
Okay.
belaying on that day. I had like the
Yeah.
full mustache and everything, and it was it's fun events. But these smaller ones as well. There's tons listed around the country. I mean, like in Liverpool alone, you got at least 10, I think, maybe
Wow.
more.
Yeah.
And like up and down the country, I'm doing an event called Doki Doki. I think next weekend. It might
Is
be
it
the
like a
weekend after.
It's like a Japanese literature one, that or
Yeah,
something?
I'm not really into me anime or anything like that. But
Yeah.
my mate Finn Scouse, who's also in the Nerd Head, he's like, oh well, I'm thinking about going. Do you want to come with? And then all my other friends like Tara, Coffee Bar, all sorts said they're going as well. So he's like, you know what? Let's give this a shot. What can I dress
Yeah.
up as? I've got a really bad mask. It's the Nemesis mask off Facebook Marketplace or eBay. I'm not sure what it's from, but I'm going to do my stilts in Nemesis because that's the only thing I can think that's Japan
Yeah.
release because that's Capcom. But apparently there's a Mortal Kombat group going, and
Oh,
I'm
that's
sure there'll be
cool.
tons of others as well. So it's not specifically anime, which I'm excited to see because it's a little bit of I like stepping out my comfort zone with different Comic Cons and different
Yeah.
events and seeing, well, how's this run? How's this done? I mean, it's exactly why I went down to Falmouth the other weekends because it's a whole different community down there compared to what we got up north. It's very close knit, and like a lot of the organisers work together quite closely.
Hmm.
So it's the community's one, meeting new cosplayers everywhere I go. But
Well,
down
yeah.
there, I was so surprised. Like, there's tons of people that I'd never met who'd never seen me, what I do. And it was
Yeah.
incredible getting to see their like faces drop for the first time, like I did khonshu back when I first wore it.
Because I feel like you do get to a point, and I mean, the cosplay community is huge, but you do start. I mean, obviously, randomly, we've met before, so I'm
Yeah,
like, it sometimes it can feel kind of small world, and you do see the same faces a lot, and which is great in some ways. But yeah, I bet getting in a new area and seeing some new faces, it can be a nice change.
well, that's it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I see tons of people that I've met in the past, and there's only a select few that I remember the names of. I can remember the costumes, but when they're not in costume, I'm like, or in a
I
diff
get
costume,
that.
I'm like, oh, that's you.
Yeah,
I always
and
feel
they'll be like,
terrible with that.
they'll recognize you,
Yeah,
and
I
then you're
feel
like,
bad.
oh, I was so and so, and then you're like, oh, okay, now I know who you
Yeah.
are.
Well,
But
Yeah,
I go to conventions and generally I'm wearing a Nerd OD branded T-shirt. And people go, "Oh, you're Nerd OD," and I'm like, "Yeah, cool." And like, "Oh, I met you at this event." And I'm like, I'm sorry, you're wearing a full
they
costume,
can't
and
expect you to remember,
well,
though.
I don't think anyone's ever like really meant it. But people are kind of like, "Oh, we've met before. We did this thing," and I'm like, "But yeah, but then you were
What-
Groot, and today you are." Captain America. Like,
Yeah,
how am I meant to? I can't see through the costume. I don't know who you are. Like, and that's a testament, I think, sometimes to how good some of the costumes are. That you
yeah.
genuinely don't know who that person is because their costume was so all encompassing and successful.
I was just going to say, with the costumes and mask, a lot of people do wear them just to, they might be a bit self-conscious about the face, or they might have other things, or they might just like wearing a character of a mask. But that's what I was like for a very long time, and until I did Gears of War, and I was like, yeah, I respect the way I look now. I've grown this out, even though you can't see it on camera.
I can see it.
It's there. It's there. Don't worry about it. It's there.
Faintly.
I think that it's the thing with events. Like, I think they mentioned that this is it's a whether it's a Japanese culture or a specific like Hyper Japan. Hyper Japan is one where Dan from Nerd OD and Studio 30,000, he's a big fan of that convention. And I was going to go this year. I didn't go. I'm very upset with myself for not going. But it's that one where I've never once seen someone. I've never encountered this where someone has gone to a convention and their particular cosplay doesn't necessarily fit the theme of the event. It's never been a negative thing. Like, I've never once seen someone
Oh,
like, "Oh, why is that person dressed like that? This is an event for this." Like, it's always been, and again, this is my limited experience, but it's always appeared very just accepting and just, you're in a costume, cool. Like, that's great. Is it something that is related to this thing? No. Okay, but you want to dress that way? Cool. It's all it feels very open in that way, and I think that where some of the most interesting cosplays I've ever seen are the ones that perhaps don't necessarily fit a theme. And they're ones where, I mean, Kisasa, you and I have spoken about this at length before, ones where you're Evie Carnahan, like, it's my favorite. And it's one where there aren't, and there should be, but there aren't any The Mummy conventions anywhere, right? That are focused on that. There should be.
very
Someone do
niche.
that. Someone sort that out. But like you wore that costume, and it's like that's a recognizable thing. That's fantastic. But it wasn't like part of the theme of the convention because, of course, it's the Mummy, and and as much as I think it's one of the best films of all time, it doesn't have its own convention. But yeah, it's very much the accepting community, and I think that's the thing where going to a different convention with a costume and just seeing what works, I think is such a really cool kind of, I don't know, quite freeing thing, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I can see that. The only times I've seen something similar, I've never seen specifically what you said then, because it is all inclusive. But I felt some. Me and Finn were talking about this the other day. Is sometimes when you're at a convention, there's nobody doing your genre or nobody knows what you're dressed as, and that can be a bit of a downer sometimes. But I think feeling a little bit out of place at conventions, I've combated it with making friends with people. I don't really care about my outlook. The way, if my costume's hanging off, I get a bit self conscious, like. But I even with people with social anxiety, I'll go up and say hi and all that, and try and if somebody's on their own, I'll go say hi to them. Come bring them in, come join us and have a laugh. But yeah, there is certain parts of the community where people are just starting out and they're a bit timid, they're a bit shy, or they don't know anybody. If they've got friends, they're off doing some other thing. But at the end of the day, the more you start going to these events, the more people you meet. You don't feel a little bit off, and if you do feel a little bit off, you'll see somebody hopefully that'll be there and be like, "Oh, that's awesome." They may not know where it's from, but they really respect the art in it or the effort to get that costume.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was an experience I had. This is at, I forget which con. I want to say it was Wales Comic Con, but it may have been another one where I encountered. This was right after Encanto had come out, and I have a 4-year-old daughter, so Encanto hit hard in my house. Right, it landed hard.
Oh yeah,
and I mean, it was me too. I loved it. I watched it all the time.
it made
But
me
there
cry.
was every time I watch
film.
it, I cry. And I'm a full-grown man. I shouldn't be admitting that on camera, but I am. And the soundtrack. Never mind. So where was my point? And I went to this convention, and there were two women there who were dressed as Mirabelle and Isabella, and their costumes were great. And I don't know whether they were bought, whether they were made. I don't any of it. They just were in those characters, and the interactions of the young kids that were there in seeing those characters. It was like Disney World. It was like seeing people seeing these princesses for the first time, being like, "Oh my, this is amazing!" And I confess, I was a little bit like, "Oh wow, that's so cool!" And I've started to get more photos with cosplayers and stuff because I never used to do that. I'd go to a convention, go, "Oh, I saw these amazing costumes today." I'd be like, "You get any photos?" And I'm like, "No, I just forgot." And so now I've started doing more selfies with people, and I did with them because I was like, I love this thing, and you're embodying this thing, and you're really nice about it. And the woman doing Isabella had a little bag full of little flower petals, and she would give you a few when you went and said hi to them and got a photo with them. And it was just stuff like that where it was just like they were just there, just having their own time, but they were really positively affecting the day for a lot of other people, and that was really lovely to see, and for myself too. So yeah, it's just that impact is huge. And like I said, if you have somebody who's perhaps not as comfortable, the idea of someone putting on a mask, putting on a costume that covers their face, if that allows somebody the freedom and the security to enjoy themselves, and that's an amazing place to start. So.
That's exactly it. With what you just said then, with the people like highlighting the day, I used to do Star Wars costumes primarily and branch out a little bit, and I thought, well, you go to these events and you always see like 20 different Mandalorians, or you see like 30 Stormtroopers, 4 Darth Vaders. I won't slag off the Wookiees because I am a Wookiee, but no, I'm not like messing with them at all. No, you see a lot of the same things every event. So when I finally bought my Iron Man costume off Hawkeye Cosplay, first event I went to, it was weird. It was for one side of the character that was easily recognizable by everybody. Everybody knew, oh, that's Iron Man, or not just some weird ghost or Chewbacca. And it was a different feeling for me, and it was a hectic day. Like, the armor's not easy to wear, it's full fiberglass, but
bet.
it was just a whole different feeling that I've been chasing a little bit with my costumes. that it was recognisable. And
Yeah.
I think that helped out quite a bit, that I was like, oh, I grew up watching Iron Man. Now I am Iron Man. So 7-year-old Ben, which is, by the way, it was 18 years ago, I believe, until 18 years past the first Iron Man movie. And that is the anniversary this year. But 7-year-old Ben watching Iron Man, and it was just incredible. Like, being able to, that inner kid in me is now, once was a really kiddie Iron Man, is now like a big full grown in an Iron Man suit. It was full circle with that. But I really enjoyed the interactions with people, especially the families and, you know, everybody that came over to say, I mean, Hacker T-Dog, who also did Sooty and Sweep, he saw my TikTok and was waiting for me to come over to see him.
Oh my
So
god!
I was really happy with that. I was speaking to him yesterday when I was at this event, and it was boss seeing, like, with the celebrities, like, they really enjoy the costumes. I mean, this is another point with the costumes. Celebrities, I found a lot of the time, really appreciate the costumes that people wear. Me and my friends I was dressed up as Pimp the Pumpkin. I had this khonshu jacket on. I had the whole khonshu stuff. Only thing I didn't have was the khonshu head. I was just had the pumpkin and a bit of staff. We went over to Chris Evans, who had Gaston, and we basically got to skip the queue and get to the front. And my mate was dressed up as Gaston, so Luke Evans was like, "Wow, let me record this." And I've had tons of interactions with celebrities in the past over a shared love of costuming, because they've seen it, they've worn it, or they're a really massive fan of like different costumes. I mean, Details, a good mate. He was the mocap actor in Destiny, but I'd met him at Star Wars Fan Fun Day for him being in the Pike Syndicate.
Okay.
It blew my mind, the fact that Cade 6 is in front of me, and I didn't even know. But when you're walking past, the celebs sometimes turn up on an eye and go, "Come here." A mate of mine, he was dressed up as Arnie, which he does a really good impression, by the way. This is for 66. And his man came over, and he said, "Come here a minute." And I want you to speak to somebody. There's Arnie on the phone, having a word with him, just having a proper chat. And it's incredible, some of these stories and some of these situations that we can get over, you know, just a shared love, a passion of, you know, costume and craft and making, or just wearing an outfit. It's incredible.
Yeah,
absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, recently, Kisasa, you had an experience that I am deeply envious of meeting Nathan Fillion and Jewel State, and you were wearing your Firefly costumes for both meetings, weren't you? And I just thought that, first of all, the effort that you've put in to create those costumes, then to meet the people who made those characters famous, and then
it was peak.
Yeah, and then the flip side of them encountering someone who cares enough about their character that they were part of, that they would have gone through that effort to create that character for themselves, and what that means to people. Like, this is the thing that always gets me with cosplay, is people choose characters, and a lot of the time they choose the character because that character means something to them. And I always think that's huge. You know, to see, I was at a convention probably a couple of years ago now, and there were a number of cast members from Overwatch. Now, say we will about Blizzard and Activision, and that's a different story entirely, but the voice actors behind the characters, they were there, and they were, you know, there was person after person going up there wearing a Tracer costume, Mercy costume, Brigitte was a big one at the time as well, and those are the three voice actors who were there, and they were interacting with people who were wearing their characters, wearing the ones that they had brought to life. And I thought, what a surreal and quite moving experience that could be. And I'm sure that there are some celebrities who are very cynical about things, and I hope to never meet them. But the ones who actually, where the emotions must be such an incredible experience on both sides.
I've actually met Echo from Overwatch. I don't know if it's Jasmine Belletti or Jenny Belletti, but it turns out she's actually from Liverpool. She got into voice acting, and now she lives in Hollywood. But she signed the Hammer, and I read this up because I looked on her and because I knew she worked for Blizzard and all that, and she is actually in Shadowlands, which my character was from, and she saw me and instantly clocked onto what it was, and like we had a proper in-depth conversation. She was saying about how she, you know, where she grew up and all that, and basically how she got into the industry and got really lucky, and like she was really happy to be back in Liverpool because she'd never she hadn't been back in a load of like a lot of years, and the whole interactions with them are incredible. And as you say, there are a lot of cynical celebrities out there. Costume or not, they are probably not going to treat you the nicest, but there's the ones that do treat you the nicest. That's worth your energy and worth being happy about. I think that's the most important for me with that. Is just being happy of meeting people, and if it's a bad experience, screw it. It's in the past. It's gone. I'm having new fun.
Yeah, but I definitely agree. Like as you were saying, it is a great way to connect with other cosplayers and other like normies, but it is a really cool way to also, as you say, connect with some of the famous people. And similar to you, like at cons, I've had like some like really nice guest interactions, which has been great. But even not at cons, like on social media and things, myself and like other friends have had it where they might have posted their cosplay, and then either like whoever their cosplay might have like commented or like retweeted or reposted or whatever, and like they clearly do really appreciate or most of them appreciate the effort that goes into it. And I think it's really cool that that's also a way that you can connect with them, and because I do think they appreciate the effort that goes into it. So
that's exactly it.
It's always a cool interaction.
I found a lot of game companies now are really jumping on the bandwagon to support cosplayers, because they really do care about the community.
Yeah.
A big massive company which I personally was featured by was Bethesda.
Oh my god!
They are so fantastic.
They steal my heart, Bethesda. They own me. They own me. They own me. Like I'm currently playing.
Amazing.
I've got Doom on my phone. I've got Skyrim on my Switch, and I'm awaiting Starfield with a desperation I've never experienced before. So they own me, bought and paid for. Simple as that.
Yeah. Starfield's actually on my preload right now. I can't wait for it. But yeah, Doomslayer is on the cards for next year, by the way.
Nice.
So that's going to be a good one. But yeah, no, Bethesda's really amazing at featuring the cosplays because they care quite a lot. And Apex Legends, I was literally scrolling, it came up today, they're using cosplay pictures for tournaments and all that.
Wow.
And I think the way I predict now is I've been seeing a bit of a pattern within companies where they're really starting to appreciate people's crafts and the costumes and inviting people down to events. There's cosplayers that get to go to movie reveals, which I'm hoping and praying one day. Moon Knight Season 2, please. But yeah, no, I find a lot of the companies are saying now that, well, these people are bringing what we haven't brought to life into them in person, and all in all, by cosplaying, we are advertising them for free.
Yeah.
And I think they're really giving back on the community. I'm certain in the new Borderlands movie, I believe there was a quote from the guy who runs Gearbox Software and actually made Borderlands, but there's rumours that there's cosplayers in the movie getting slaughtered because he wanted to kill the cosplayers. As a joke, by the way. Not, and he thought it'd be funny to be like, he'd like to, give a bit of, back to the community. But yeah, I feel like within the next couple of years, maybe the next 10 years, that cosplay is going to become more of a necessity to events organisers. To it's already a necessity, but to these companies and these corporations, to have these guys at events and having a showcase of what's actually available. Like, oh, this is our character from our game. They're actually here in the flesh.
Yeah.
Come get a photo.
Yeah.
And they've not had to pay for the costume, so
Exactly.
Well,
we get a bit of clout. They get a bit of clout.
Yeah.
The community.
Win-win.
I think companies realizing that the community is the key part. Bethesda is a great example of it, right? People joke about Bethesda games coming out and being buggy and having errors at launch, but people still love them, and they will give their time and they will play through that. And if you support that community, then they will give back. So I think that, and I saw a video shared by someone recently, and I didn't get their name, sadly, but they were a cosplayer cosplaying Ezra Bridger. and they were invited to the Ahsoka premiere.
Oh wow,
Jealous. I'll get over
time.
it. But he was saying about how the video was lamenting comments, people saying, "Why did you get to go? Why do you deserve it? Why is it fair? You've done nothing to earn it, effectively." And what he had done was he had edited a cosplay, time-lapse video of him assembling the cosplay, and the amount of effort and the amount of iterations and the work it had taken to get from his first version to his kind of final version that got the notice from Lucasfilm and from Disney to say, yeah, you should come to the premiere because your Ezra costume is like, it's screen quality. Like, we could wear this in the show. It's that good. So he was saying, I've put all this effort in. That's why they noticed me, and that's why I got to go to this
I actually know who you're talking about.
Oh,
I've
great.
seen this. Chapters of Chester, I think.
Right, okay.
It is. I've just then thought, I've seen this video.
Great. I missed their name and I felt bad about it. Thank you for picking that up for me. But like, his costume was great. And like, I can see it like from the way that people are interacting, and the idea that if someone has gone to that kind of effort of their own free will to make a costume that is to that kind of standard because they love that character, because they love that property so much, like, yeah, get them involved, get them to be part of this thing, get them to a premiere. That's such a cool way of giving back to that community. And it comes back to the whole full circle of how does the community kind of embrace it all and support itself and support each other and stuff. So yeah, huge. So I'm jealous that they got to go, but
yeah,
I'm not going to compete with that.
I've been there plenty of times now. I'm just waiting for the email or the call one day say, look, can you bring Khonshu, can you bring Iron Man?
Yep.
Can you come do Badmore for the Borderlands? And I don't know how people, I think it's mainly seeing the TikToks if they blow up or something like that, like getting in the algorithm, that helps. But I'm always rubbing shoulders to one day hopefully get in there, because it would be a massive dream of mine to just get to premieres.
Yep.
I've just come out of a media production course. My whole idea right now is to actually get into the film industry with making props and costumes, or doing films. Because I'm a massive movie nut, and I do love making stuff, and especially making films and little short films, and to actually be able to work on these things where they've inspired me as a kid to inspire others, and just be there in the moment would be absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
but one day we'll get there.
We'll get there. Kevin Feige, if you're out there, if you're listening to this, it's Scandalorian on Instagram. Find him. His content is great. Moon Knight season 2. Bring him up.
Video twice. I've got Star Wars Celebration 3 times.
That's it. No, I think that's a wonderful point to wrap up this conversation, because I think that it brings us back to the idea that this is about the people who do it. This is about the community around it, and it's a great example of that. So I want to say a huge, huge thank you to Scandalorian. Costumes are fantastic. Big love to all of them, especially your Fallout armor once you get it back from your Grant. And
I was just going to say, if I could go, I was just going to say thank you so much for having me on board, for bringing me in, inviting me to come have a talk. I've really enjoyed this. It's good to actually speak about this stuff in length with other people, and especially, I've met you. Well, I've
technically
met you once. I've met you a few times now, but it's good to actually proper talk. We'll have to have a proper catch up in person sometime.
That'll happen.
Absolutely. But it's been great. You've been a great guest. I've really enjoyed my first interview.
Yay!
And you've been amazing. And follow this guy. Get on Scandalorian at Scandalorian.
Get on Scandalorian.
Follow you too
on Instagram.
And thank you all. If anyone out there wants to get involved, if anyone wants to be a part of the show or ask any questions, or you've got a burning topic about cosplay that you want to put to other cosplayers, then you can drop us an email at cosplayconfessional@nerdod.com, or you can get to us on Instagram. I'm Olsen Prime. We've got Kisasa Cosplay right here. But thanks so much for watching / listening, and we will see you all again soon. Thank you.
See you next time.
See you guys. Have fun. See you in events.
Big waves. Cosplay Confessional is part of the Nod Network and produced by Studio 30,000.